represent John Amidon. The evidence in this case will show that 1 year ago today, there was a large, legally permitted protest at the Hancock Air Base. The protesters wanted to draw attention to the drones being flown out of this base. The protesters feel strongly that the drone war is both immoral and illegal, and they can't condone these killings committed in their names without doing what they can to stop them. The evidence will show that the protesters obtained a permit which allowed for a legal march and rally at the base. There was a designated free speech zone on base property. The permit application, which was attached to the permit as an amendment, also made it clear that there would be street theater as part of the protest. It stated that people would have symbolic props. As will be seen, these symbolic props included cardboard coffins symbolizing those killed by drones, and black head coverings worn by many of those carrying the coffins. The props also included my client John Amidon's Grim Reaper costume. John Amidon had no intent to break the law that day, and the evidence will show he did not break any law. And he's not even charged with actual crimes, he's charged with 2 violations. The evidence will show that John was simply standing on top of the barrier marking the free speech zone and wearing his Grim Reaper costume when he was suddenly grabbed from behind by police, yanked off the barrier, and arrested.
Where's the war criminals?
The evidence will show that John wore this costume because he believes that the Grim Reaper perfectly symbolizes these drones. And he is not alone in that. In fact, one of the Air Force drones is named the Reaper, and the Navy uses the Grim Reaper, hood and sigh and all, as the logo for its drone program. As you will hear, the Grim Reaper is a personification of death and is said to reap the souls of all people, taking the innocent and guilty alike. John will testify that he wore this costume because of his belief that this is also what the drones do. They kill anyone in their target zone, including hundreds of innocent civilians, many of them children. John Amidon faces 2 charges. The first is attempted criminal trespass. The evidence will show he was not trespassing and not even attempting to trespass. He was simply standing on top of the barrier so that more people could see his personification of the Grim Reaper. The evidence will show that John was never told to get off of the barrier. He was never told to take off his mask. He was simply grabbed and pulled backward off the barrier and arrested. The evidence will show that John Amidon is not guilty of attempted criminal trespass. The other charge is the loitering charge. This relates to John's wearing of the Grim Reaper mask. The evidence will show that John did not wear this mask in order to obscure his face. He was not like someone in the Ku Klux Klan who wanted to hide his identity. As he will tell you, he is proud to attend public protests. Nor was John wearing a mask in order to engage in any illegal activity. Instead, he was wearing this mask as part of a legally permitted protest, which included street theater. He was wearing the Grim Reaper costume because it symbolized what the drones mean to him, and he wanted other people to make that connection. If the loitering statute is construed in such a way that it makes this illegal, then that statute violates the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. The evidence here will show that the only proper verdict is not guilty on both counts. Thank you.
Is this John Amidon?
This is John Amidon.
Hopefully my voice will hold.
Ready to go?
Ready to go.
So John, here you are at the DeWitt Courthouse. What are you doing here?
What am I doing here? I'm here today because I cannot abide the killing of innocent children by the Hancock Airfield pilots with weaponized drones, specifically the MQ-9 Reaper.
Well, I can understand that, but how does that bring you to the courthouse?
Well, when I was petitioning my government with my grievances under my First Amendment rights, the police decided that I no longer had First Amendment rights and pulled me off out of the free speech zone and arrested me for attempted trespass and also for wearing a mask, which was an ancient law out of the rent wars. It came out of the rent wars in the 1700s. So that's what brought me here today.
So masks and rent wars.
Masks, rent wars, but really the issue is we need to stop the killing of innocent children, women, and men in Yemen, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, and any other country where the U.S. is using drones, weaponized drones, specifically and mostly the MQ-9 Reaper drone.
So just one quick question before you go in. What's your actual charge?
My actual charge is attempted criminal trespass and loitering.
Thank you.
And we will win.
After reviewing the evidence, and it's particularly Exhibit 4, it's clear to this court, as the trier of fact, that the defendant was not trying to jump the barrier, but in fact, the positioning of the defendant puts him either sideways or facing the group, because Officer Baker did a counter or clockwise, pulling him off of the barrier. It may have been unwise or unsafe because there was no water in those barriers to stabilize the situation, but that's not the issue before the court. And again, I would note there was no sign prohibiting walking on those, on the top of that barrier. It's also clear to this court that, as the trier of fact again, that I'm viewing that mask as a prop. It was permitted under the permit that was issued. And again, applying the facts to the particular statutes that are charged at a beyond a reasonable doubt standard, this court finds the defendant not guilty of both charges. 1450 of the CPL. Court stands adjourned.